Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Kyoto Wins. We are pursuing Sanin, though we are still on the common route, which is basically the majority of this game. So we got to meet with Dr. Matsumoto, and he had us clean house here, so hopefully the guys will be a little more healthy after this point. Let's see what happens after that. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. After the dust cleared, following the Hamaguri Rebellion, the shogun set about cleaning house. The Choshu expedition was launched by the shogun once the Choshu domain were declared enemies of the court. Perhaps feeling they dodged a bullet, the Choshu domain fell silent for a time. Their obedience was short-lived, however, and before long their disrespect for the shogun became impossible to ignore. In order to investigate further, the shogunate decided to send an envoy to the Choshu domain. Kondo was asked to accompany an envoy sent to the Choshu to investigate their behavior. However, the Choshu domain refused to even meet with the envoy. Fed up with their insubordination, the shogunate ordered the second Choshu expedition. However, the war was a costly one, exhausting both the resources and the men from all over the domains, whose morale began to falter. To add to the fire, word of Shogun Iemochi's passing shook all of Japan, and some domains even withdrew, which made the situation even dire. The second Choshu expedition had ended in a surprisingly major loss for the shogunate troops. October 1866. The pillar of the Tokugawa shogunate, which stood strong for 260 years, was beginning to show signs of instability. That day, I was accompanying Saito on his rounds. It sure has been hot lately. I've gotten used to the city of Kyoto, but I just can't get used to this humid heat.
Indeed.
I always wondered. Even in midsummer, Saito always wore his full uniform. Wasn't he hot? He kept his vigilant guard up while observing the city of Kyoto.
We can begin with this store and do our rounds. Wait here, Yukimura. There is nothing for you to do inside.
Alright. He gave me a short nod of confirmation and stepped into the shop with his men.
It's the Shinsengumi. There are rumors floating around about Ronin coming in and out of here, so I'll have to inspect your store.
Yes, sir, of course.
I'd been waiting for Saito and his division for a few minutes when I noticed a commotion nearby.
Hey, out of the way. You got a couple patriots coming through here.
They always call themselves patriots. A number of rather unpleasant-looking Ronin were making their way in my general direction, yelling, threatening, and intimidating anyone unfortunate enough to cross their path. Patriots? Hardly. Perhaps they considered themselves loyal to the imperial court, but they looked like the sort who only used their supposed patriotism as an excuse to steal and kill.
Hey, you deaf? I told you to move.
The Ronin tossed a poorly aimed kick at a child playing in the street. What should I do? It seemed like the warriors were preoccupied with their investigation in the store, just as I was about to stop the Ronin. Desist, you hooligans!
What's this? You think you can tell us what to do, lady? Huh, a woman wants to pick a fight with us? Patriots loyal to the Emperor?
Well, perhaps it is you who should feel pathetic for being told by a woman to stop. Don't you know how much trouble you're causing to the Kyoto civilians?
You bitch.
The man's obviously short fuse had been lit. He made a grab for the girl and missed. I suspected his next attack wouldn't be as inaccurate. I couldn't let that happen. And once again, unwisely acting. Wait! When I had come to my senses, I noticed that I had instinctively taken action. I had positioned myself in front of the girl, protecting her.
Who are you? You know this broad.
No, I don't.
Then how's about you keep your damn nose out of my goddamn business?
Flecks of spit flew from his mouth as he roared at me, and my legs suddenly felt somewhat weaker than they had a moment ago. But I was committed. I couldn't run now. If you truly love your country, as you say, then why do you abuse women and children? A samurai should protect the common people, not attack them.
What did you say? That's right, you tell him, son.
How'd you like that, you damn Ronin? Patriot my ass. Get out of my city.
Something about my speech must have struck a chord with the gathered crowd. With the cheers, my legs started to regain some of their usual steadiness.
You son of a bitch.
With a rough hiss of metal, the Ronin's sword leapt from its scabbard. I suddenly discovered I had difficulty swallowing. I could try to dodge, but if I did, he might hit the girl my actions had intended to protect. I was about to draw my sword.
Ugh.
Huh? Lucky for you. Oh, I love him so much in that pose. Slowly, carefully, I opened my eyes.
You needn't worry. I used the back of my sword.
Saito!
You.
Take them to headquarters. They may be Choshu.
Yes, sir.
Working quickly, Saito's men set to work binding the Ronin for transport. Saito's cold eyes fell on me. Sorry.
That was reckless. Why didn't you call me?
You were busy.
What were you going to do if they hurt you gravely?
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. But I couldn't help myself. I mean, what if she were to get injured? The gentleman is right. You were dreadfully reckless. I had the situation quite well in hand. Well, it didn't look like it, lady. A scolding from Saito was expected, but I hadn't thought that my erstwhile damsel in distress would contribute. I'm sorry I made you worry. I gave her a short, slightly confused bow, to which she blinked, as if suddenly remembering something very important. Oh, but you did save me, didn't you now? And I haven't thanked you. How crude of me. Thank you. Oh, well, I didn't do anything. It was Saito and his men who made the actual arrest. Oh, you needn't be so modest. It's way more respectful than just being a bystander. I suspect that this, our meeting here, is Providence. Young ladies must watch out for one another here in the city. What? Saito glanced from her to me, and an expression flashed across his face that I couldn't quite place.
You can't expect to fool everyone. There's no need to worry about it.
Oh dear, was it supposed to be a secret? Perhaps I shouldn't have mentioned it. Well, hopefully you didn't too loudly. Well, I wasn't entirely sure how to respond. How does a person respond to that sort of question? She seemed to sense my confusion and gracefully moved on. I'm terribly sorry, but I don't believe I even asked your name. How terribly boorish of me. I should very much like to be friends, but it is difficult to become acquainted with the nameless. Might I inquire as to who you are, then? Well, this is... Oh, I know who he is, Mr. Saito, yes? The Shinsengumi is frightfully famous here. And you are? My name is Chizuru Yukimura. It's nice to meet you. Yukimura? Her eyes grew wide as if she was surprised, and she stared at me intently. Your last name is Yukimura? Were you born in the East? Why, yes. I was living in Edo, but I had to come to Kyoto for a certain reason. She was acting a little strange, so I tried to speak to her and she laughed and looked up. Oh, I'm sorry. It's nothing. It was the same last name as my acquaintance. I think Yukimura is a really pretty last name. You think so? Thank you. And it is a pleasure to meet you, Chizuru. You may call me Sen. Miss Sen, nice to meet you. Oh goodness, you needn't be so uptight. You look to be about my age, so I see no reason for us not to speak as equals. So just Sen then? Yes, I suppose that will do. We must meet again sometime, Chizuru. She gave my hand a gentle squeeze, then turned and left, her kimono flapping behind her. Our encounter was over before I had a chance to grasp what was even happening, and so I simply stood stunned for a moment or two. Saito was eyeing Sen walking off, and eventually he turned to me.
That girl seemed to be rather curious about your last name.
I know, huh? She did say it was the same as her acquaintances. Well, I guess Yukimura isn't an uncommon name either. It seemed like Saito was concerned with her reaction to my name, and he was deep in thought.
We're running behind our schedule. We should be going now.
Oh, yes. So we continued on our rounds, trying to withstand the scorching heat. The heat wave ended up lasting several days. On one such day, usually when they do that, these are Zuisoroku scenes, so this might be another one. Oh, whoa, never mind, it's a new guy. Kazue Souma.
Pardon me, Yukimura. Is the batch of tea I prepared good enough?
Oh, it may be better to make them lukewarm. It's still quite hot today, you know.
Ah, I see. You're amazing.
This young man is Kazue Souma. He joined the Shinsengumi just before summer began. He's very serious and respectful. And cute. Kondo supposedly met him when he was in Choshu for the envoy, and he invited Souma to join us. Now he currently works as Kondo's page. I guess he grew fond of the Shinsengumi, and he was focused on learning about all that it takes to become a successful warrior. He's a little too young for my taste, but he still looks good.
Then maybe we should water it down.
But if you do that, then the tea's flavor will become lighter.
Oh. Hey, Soma, what are we supposed to do then? Why don't we cool it down with the well water? Oh, that's a good idea. Let's give it a try.
This energetic lad is Risaburo Nomura. He joined the Shinsengumi around the same time as Soma, and because of their closeness in age, Nomura became Kondo's page in training. For him, he was a huge fan of the Shinsengumi, and he joined them because of it. That left me to make sure that I teach them about all the duties and responsibilities that go into becoming a page, which was harder than I thought. The tea doesn't have to be room temperature, just a little cooler to offset the hot weather. So first, prepare some warm water rather than boiling hot. Then try brewing it. That way it doesn't dilute the tea's flavor.
Whoa! Wow, okay, I see. Wow, you sure know a lot about this stuff. I agree, it's very educational.
Thanks? Well, as for the tea, I'll pour some and take it to them, so you two...
What do you want us to do? We'll do anything. Yes, indeed. Let us know.
Oh, they're so cute, they're so eager and helpful.
Alright guys, you two are going to do some sword training with me.
Oh, okay, never mind, the cuteness is gone. Does he just not like Nagakura, or does he not like training? Both of them.
What's the matter? You don't want to do it?
No, please train us.
Well,
As for me, I have some work to do.
hey, you're a newbie, don't be shy now.
Nomura, come on now. This training is what will make us great warriors.
That's not training, that's pure hazing. Well, I'll be taking them off your hands for the moment.
Okay, please take care of them. I don't know, they have some pretty extreme training, I would think, so I guess it could seem like hazing. Soma gulped deeply, and he looked nervous. Nomura, on the other hand, looked ready to cry, as Nagakura dragged both of them off the training. I wish the two of them the best of luck. Soma's record of service has been unlocked. Here's some parched barley tea, Kondo. Supposedly it lowers the body's temperature.
Oh, thank you. The tea you pour is always easy to drink. It's perfect, Yukimura.
Thank you. He was deep in thought, arms crossed and stern. Things were bad since Lord Iemochi's death. Kondo especially was having a difficult time. Perhaps it was best if I simply left him alone. I turned, and had already begun to walk away when he spoke.
Matsumoto is examining Soji right now.
His coughing had grown more violent and more frequent lately. Perhaps... What did he say?
He hasn't said anything yet. I hope it's nothing serious. If something happened to Soji, I don't know how I'd be able to face her.
Her?
When he left for Kyoto, Mitsu, his older sister, asked me to look out for him.
Oh, Okita has an older sister?
He does. They lost their parents when they were children, so Mitsu was Soji's parental figure and raised him.
I see. Okita seems to have been through a lot.
Well, he is an honest man. I'm sure he didn't think he went through a lot.
Oh.
Seriously, to call a twisted man like him honest. I think you would be the only person in all of Japan to say that.
Oh, Hijikata.
Oh, Toshi, how are you? Did you want some tea too? No, I don't need any, but... Did you hear about the notice board over by Sanjo Ohashi Bridge? Yes, I've heard. The notice board about the Choshu crime, right? Some assholes pulled it out and tossed it into the Kamo. Of course, I heard about that as well. But I thought that they put the notice board back up the next day. They did. Same thing happened. I think they're going to ask us to keep an eye on it pretty soon. It got torn down at night, didn't it? Well, what do you say using Sanen's Fury Core then? The Fury Core. You think it's a bad idea? They work hard enough, but they tend to get a little excited. Whenever we give them something to do, they end up slaughtering the other side. That's not enough for them, though. They go in and hack the corpses to bits. Most of the time, they're not even recognizable. Maybe they're doing it to try and hide the Shinsegumi's hand, but they're going too far. We're not just a pack of murderers. I told them to knock it off, but they won't listen. They just want to play with their corpses. They keep this up, and we're no better than those night cutters.
I felt a shiver snake down my spine as he spoke. Even after a year, I remembered with terrifying clarity what I'd seen when I first arrived in Kyoto, the Furies. They behaved as if possessed by evil spirits, their swords mercilessly hacking away at dead men. It hadn't been hatred or fear that drove them, but some sort of twisted amusement. I didn't think I'd ever forget the half-mad smiles each had worn.
I've got a few other ideas. Good. I'll leave the details to you then, Toshi. Ah, yes. Have you heard about Lord Yoshinobu Hitotsubashi, the old guardian of the shogun? Yes, what about him? I've heard a couple people say he's like Ieyasu reborn. I don't know about that, but I do hear he's pretty sharp.
Before long, they'd started to discuss politics I didn't understand, and I politely excused myself. I thought back to what Hijikata had said. It was true Sanen had been acting strange, and the Fury Corps had been getting more and more violent. There was a lot on my mind, but what worried me most was the Furies, because that is the closest thing that has to do with Sanen. And apparently that leads me to something. Just as Hijikata had predicted, the Shinsengumi had received an official request to guard the notice board at the Sanjo Ohashi Bridge. As it turned out, the vandals were 8 men from the Tosa domain. Harada and his division were well prepared and captured them when they attacked at the Kamo River. Harada was given a reward by the Aizu for his service, and he took the rest of the captains to Shimbara to celebrate. I had remained at the temple to eat my dinner alone, but my heart felt like a lead weight in my chest, and it chased away any appetite I might have had. What's going to happen to the Shinsengumi and the Fury Corps? Almost as if on cue, the door slid open and Sanen stepped through. Oh, hello, Sanen. Can I help you? Good evening. You didn't go to Shimbara with the others? Yes, I'm not that great with drinking parties, so... Ah, I see. Sanen nodded in understanding, and his eyes beamed with color as he gazed at me. Are you starting to fall for me yet? The cold full moon was visible, and maybe it was because of the nighttime. But Sanen's eyes possessed a tint of danger. Oh no. Is he starting to think about using my blood for the experiments? Sanen? So, what do you think? About the serum, the water of life, that is. What do you mean? Wouldn't you agree that this serum has had results beyond comprehension? After all, when my left arm rendered me useless, I looked to its properties for aid. And it seems all too clear to me now that it was fated for me to improve and perfect the serum. It's an unshakable truth. Sanen's words slithered creepily, and I couldn't bring myself to stop staring at the floor to hide from his line of sight. His expression was so unfamiliar and nefarious, almost as if he was being possessed by something. What's the matter? Why aren't you meeting me eye to eye? I'd expect you of all people to agree, you being the daughter of Kodo, who brought this divine creation unto us. It was obvious that Sanen was not acting as his usual self. Why aren't you saying anything? It would be very regretful if you were one to share the opinion of Dr. Matsumoto, who wants to bring the experiments to a halt. I just remembered I have some chores that need doing, so I'll be... Just as I was on my way out. Hold on a minute. He roughly grabbed onto my wrists and yanked me. Ah! I pulled against his grip, but he was far too strong for me to overcome. Please, stop! The horrible twitching madness in his eyes was too much for me and I screamed.
What are you grabbing her for, Sonnen? That's not how you impress a lady. See, she's terrified.
Oh, I got caught up in the moment. I lost control. I apologize. On the other side of his glasses, Sonnen's eyes returned to normal. The glint of madness was gone. While I felt relieved, Sonnen had walked off as the others were walking in. As I watched him walk off, I looked back at Okita and the men. It's good to see you back. You're a little earlier than I expected, though. I was expecting you guys to come way later. Lucky for me, they didn't. Sana's going to be drinking till morning if Shin has anything to say about it. I didn't think I could handle that much, so I left with this pair of sticks in the mud. It's only the three of you, then? What's the matter? Hijikata caught the eye of a lady at the Sumi called Kimigiku. She sat next to him the whole night. Kimigiku? Oh yeah, she was a beauty.
Come on, was she that pretty?
She totally was. Actually, I'm a little worried Sano might not have enough to pay for her.
Oh, that's so. Well, I'm not one to say if her broad is hot or not.
One of Kyoto's geiji, huh? Or did they mean geisha? She was probably just as beautiful as Heisuke said. They must have made a beautiful couple. I gazed down at myself, small, plain, and dressed like a boy. Suddenly I felt very sad.
Is something wrong? You look unhappy.
Oh, no, it's nothing.
I imagine you're tired. Perhaps we should leave. You rest well, Yukimura.
I will, thank you. Saito must have been looking out for me. As Heisuke began to leave my room, something brought him to an abrupt halt, and he turned to me. And apparently the rest of them too. Hey, do you get the feeling like Sana has been acting a little more strange lately?
Huh.
The two were silent, restrained by mixed emotions. Eventually, they both left the room. So no answers, just left. Even the captains who were with the Shinsengumi since Edo were beginning to grow suspicious of Sanin. I wonder what's going to happen from now on. We should be working on him. After that, the rest of the warriors who'd gone to Shimbara returned, and they told me in great detail about the Sanjo notice board incident. But, out of everything I'd heard, there was one thing in particular that caught my attention. They told me that when Harada and his men had been attacked at Sanjo Ohashi, one of them had seen someone who looked a lot like me. This strange person had tried to impede the Shinsengumi and sided with the vandals from the Toso domain. I haven't left the temple, of course, and even if I had been at Sanjo Ohashi, I would never have tried to get in the Shinsengumi's way. But if it wasn't me, then who? What could it mean? This news only fed the anxiety that had been slowly building within me, and that will come into play later on. January 1867. That scene with Sana when he came to my room, I think that was one that they played during Harada's route before. Darn it, I feel kind of annoyed that we haven't been, trying to speak to Sana more often and see him more often throughout this beginning, you know? I feel like we should have been trying to comfort him and make him feel more humanized and just socialize with him. But I guess that comes later. We'll let him get worse and then we'll pick him up. December 1866. I was sweeping a section of the compound, despite being nearly frozen to the bone. Well, that should do it. I wanted to help out as much as I could, but since they still refused to let me out without an escort, there wasn't a great deal I could do. Still, I helped clean our home and that felt good. Hopefully they'd like it too.
Cleaning, I see. You're certainly hard at work.
Oh, hello, Kondo. It's really gotten cold lately, hasn't it?
Yes, it has indeed. I've been in Kyoto for a while now, but I still can't get used to the weather.
He rubbed his hands together and blew on them, in a mostly vain attempt to warm them up. I've picked up a bunch of dead leaves, so I was thinking about roasting potatoes later. Would you like some? They'll warm you up. Kondo gave me a little wry smile.
Roasted potatoes, huh? Oh, I used to enjoy that a long time ago.
Oh. I flushed with embarrassment. Kondo was a busy man, as management of the Shinsengumi was not easy. A man like that didn't have time for roasting potatoes. Well, it's not like I'm asking him to roast them. I'll roast them and then give them to him. You've been really busy lately. I hope you're taking care of yourself.
Oh, right. Well, if I'm busy, then that means the Shinsengumi is needed. It's an honor.
True. In the last several weeks, Kondo and Hijikata had left the temple often to go meet with important shogunate officials. They scarcely had time to breathe, let alone relax. At the moment, almost as if my thoughts had summoned him, Hijikata appeared.
There you are, Kondo. Oh, Toshi, where were you? I was looking for you. They've chosen the next shogun. It's going to be Lord Yoshinobu Hitotsubashi. Him, huh? Well, no one else could probably do it, so he should just buckle down and accept the position, instead of making a fuss about it. Toshi, that is not the way we should look at and speak to someone who's becoming the new shogun. They say the man is so wise that he is said to be an incarnation of Lord Ieyasu. Forget it. Doesn't matter who the shogun is to us anyway. We're just here to fight for him. That's right. If we do our best, that means the shogun and the shogunate are safe and secure.
Only 20 days after Lord Yoshinobu had been officially inaugurated as the new shogun, the emperor suddenly passed away. One thing after another. It was especially hard on the emperor's younger sister, Kazunomiya, who had been married to Lord Iemochi and was intended to be a symbol of imperial unification, but everyone on both sides was shocked by his death. He was succeeded by the imperial prince, a young boy of only 15 years. In the turmoil, the activities of the Choshu domain went uninvestigated. The entire country of Japan found itself thrust into rapid motion. Just what we need, more strife. April 1867. April 1867. Oh, hey, look, Okita! Cherry blossoms have bloomed. They're magnificent, look! The seasons changed and spring came. Kyoto was filled with the cherry blossoms, and the whole city took on a festive atmosphere. Surrounded by the gentle cheer of spring, my footsteps felt somehow lighter.
It's getting warmer out, and it finally looks like a nice day. So I get that you're all giddy and stuff, but it'd be nice if you acted with a little more decency right now.
I gasped and turned around to look at my surroundings. The townsmen were looking at me dubiously as I expressed my excitement over the weather. Okay, I'll be careful. Maybe I was spacing out because things had quieted down a bit, and I let down my guard. It's spring fever. Hey, Okita?
Hmm?
In that narrow alleyway over there seems to be a few ronin that saw us and snuck away.
Don't waste your energy on them. They're small potatoes.
Really?
If they were imperial nationalist guys, well, they wouldn't just run off like that. They'd be more confident. The guys who take off like that when we show up are almost always just small-time punks.
I see.
But honestly, I don't think there are many ronin left in Kyoto with the balls to start something with us.
The Shinsengumi's gotten pretty famous around Kyoto, hasn't it? That uniform stands out a lot, too.
Well, could be infamous depending on who you ask.
When the men wore their uniforms, people seemed to notice them at first glance, which at first probably seemed like a good thing, but their uniform had become a symbol, but there was some argument among the Shinsengumi about if they should adopt a new one. Some people, such as Ito, felt that the uniform should be changed because it wasn't fashionable. Oh, good lord. Is Ito back from the imperialist territories yet?
Yeah, I think so. Can't say I'd have minded if he just stayed out there, though.
I think we all feel that way. Aw, don't be like that. You say you never felt like that, Chizuru. He went to go recruit some of his friends and acquaintances, right? Oh, that's the last thing we need is more people on his side.
Well, that's what he says. But I gotta wonder how far he really went.
I didn't hear the details, but I heard he went to more places than he originally planned. If he put in all that effort, then he must really care about the Shinsengumi, right?
Well, that's what you think.
Am I wrong?
No, not really.
He said it in a suggestive way.
Kondo's too nice. He should just kill Ito.
You really shouldn't, Okita. How could you joke about killing one of your companions? He's not really a companion.
A companion, huh?
He scoffed, then fell silent. Ever since he had first arrived, Okita and the rest had never seemed to like Ito much. But when he said it aloud in public, it still surprised me. I glanced around to make sure no one had been paying attention. Uh-oh. Oh. There, in the crowd, a face I'd seen before. I stopped walking. Kaoru? The face that looked back could easily have been mine. There was no way I could have ever mistaken that face. But no sooner than when I spotted her had she disappeared, melting into the crowd. Kaoru!
Hi.
He made a grab for my arm, but had already moved out of his reach. I might get in trouble for it, but if I didn't go quickly, I'd lose her. Sorry, Okita. There's something I have to do. I caught a glimpse of his confused face as I ducked into the crowd. Follow me, Okita!
Huh. How many times do I have to tell her not to run off without permission? Why can't you look at this from my point of view?
'Cause I'm not very considerate. At times like this anyway. Most of the time Chizuru's pretty considerate. Okay, so apparently Chapter 4 is still common route. So, you don't actually get on anybody's route until Chapter 5. And that's the last chapter that we have for the game. So that kind of sucks, but oh well. Really can't wait till Edo Blossoms comes out then. Yeah, so we'll have to work on everybody's first halves of their stories as much as we can until that game comes out. So, hope to see you in that next video or some of my other ones, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye everybody.